And then one of the things I'm most excited about learning is from this guy who's actually, as an investor, he says, look, I was doing what you were doing like a year or two ago, and it's really for the birds. I have my license, but I'm not representing anyone ever. I'm just going after it as an investment, you know, New Riche University thing, and he's pitching and all that. And he was just from like a 30-minute conversation, the things that I kind of gleaned from that, and hopefully I can pick his brain more tomorrow, but you know, he's taking the flakiness out of it. He's getting the grant deed, he's getting the power of attorney, so he's got control of the seller, control of the property, so that part can't flake out on him. The buyers, he's having them, so he's tying it up, working the short sale, at the same time he's advertising it for sale by owner and getting buyers lined up and then having non-refundable deposits, right? So a buyer can't disappear so easily. That's what a lot of times, we have deals put together, we bend over backwards, and the buyer just goes, never mind. And we're like, now I'm out of time, you know? Oh gosh, in fact on Lorraine that closed last week, I mean, these little pansy buyers, I swear. I mean, I had to go and guarantee the appraisal and the inspection. I put $750 in escrow. I said, look, if I don't procure the short sale approval and it's my fault that escrow doesn't close, I'll pay for the appraisal and the inspection. But you need to get going because we don't have any more time. We have to close. So don't delay. But, you know, a lot of times it's taking sort of that maverick kind of attitude to get these deals to come together. But then he's also taking control of the appraisal. So he's getting his contractors, he's getting a licensed contractor or two to come to the property and make these very detailed lists of all the repairs that need to be made so that when he's presenting it to the bank, and more importantly, when the BPO comes by, or the appraiser, he can say, look, I know you're doing your own stuff, but I just wanted you to have this, you know, here's the list of repairs, and that's the hard part. I mean, someone like me, I'm doing BPOs once in a while on the other side of it, and I know that I'm not an expert. If I go through and say, that'll cost about $3,000, oh, that'll cost about $10,000, I don't know. But if I look at, if someone handed me, here's a contractor saying, this is how much this would cost, this should be done, that should be done, I'll go, oh, well, I have to take that off the price. So he's having success that way, of really taking control of the whole situation. And so that's where my mind's headed, and I think that's going to help us a lot on Grand. And Reservoir, I didn't quite get that put together. Well, Grand doesn't have any, but I at least was able to talk to the BPO, or the guy doing the BPO. It's really important to make yourself the contact person, so they have to contact you, and you know when they're going to show up, and try to meet them there as much as you can to try to influence, you know, that number. And it just depends on, you know, if they're going to get the listing, they're probably not going to care what you say. but a lot of times the BPO is not the guy who's going to get the listing if it goes to trustee sale. It's someone like me who came up on the list. So now I lost where I was going. Is there any questions? Any other things that?
On the flip side of the coin, if I'm a buyer, why would I want to buy a short sale instead of, and I'm not in a hurry, why don't I wait for it to become REO and then buy it?
That's a really good question. Sometimes when it goes REO, let's say like with Wild Rose out in Victorville, we had a deal put together at 210, 212, then the buyer changed their mind. Seller was going to come in with what, a $2,000 gap we had going. We had it all put together, and then the bank then the buyer fell apart. And now probably when the bank takes it, they said, well, do you have any cash buyers? And we're going, yeah. And so we made an offer basically at 120, 125. We probably would have paid up to 130. All cash, but then they go, no, we're going to get that more than that at the trustee sale. And what was the minimum? When you went to the trustee sale, what was the minimum bid?
191.
191. It's so full of it. No one is going to. So they're taking these properties back. If they're willing to take the property back at 191, knowing they have to put 20 grand into it minimum, right?
At least.
Minimum. Do you think they're going to list it for 212? Not unless the market, which they're dumb. Oops, that's not nice to say. They're gonna be surprised because in those counties, the lady, the broker that's been around forever, you know, she's like, she looks like a grandma, but then she's like this really heavy hitter, you know, it's just so funny. But she goes, you know what, $10,000 a month minimum is what we're losing on houses out here. And so she says, you know, the farther you go up on the 15 or out the 60 or out the 10, you know, down some of those ways, the farther out you go, it's just sort of dropping month by month. So they're going to put 20 grand into it, and by the time, you know, they're going to go, oh, we're going to list it for what? What are they thinking? 230?
But once they take it, they can start at zero to sell it out. They don't
Why
have to.
would they? That's not looking very good. I don't know. It's a good question. It depends on what they're thinking. Usually they're listing higher. Like when I lost, they're listing higher. But otherwise, if they thought the value was there, they would have accepted the short sale. Like there's that one that I did on Brand Boulevard. Do you remember that one? Mm-hmm. And so the REO, I was listening to the lender and what they said. Well, we won't accept anything less than blah blah blah. And I listened to them, so I tried to get it, and then I didn't get anything. If I would have just done it how I would do it now, I would have had an offer in that they probably would have accepted when it was all said and done. Because when I talked to the REO guy who got it after me, I said, hey, guess what? But he says, oh God, I'm going to have to get them down on this price because I see what they want. So I actually said, here's the information I have, here's the offers or the interested parties that I've had, go for it. But they're saying that they're going, oh, they're trying to get the lenders down on the price that they want to list it at all the time. To get an answer to your question, it might not be better, but right now, a lot of the agents, they don't want to make offers on a short sale because they'd rather have their buyer close on something they know they're getting a paycheck in the next 30 days. The only advantage is if they're willing to hang out with that uncertainty if they're going to get something 10% below market now, as opposed to maybe they'll list it at the same, if they really like that property, there's a chance to get it in LA County at 10% below market value.